This program, the breakfast show. We're discussing now the tourism sector records that have witnessed a great leap and highest revenues and returns in its history in Egypt. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have this phone with Mr. Yehia Abdul, Qader, Tourism Councillor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ms. Amal. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Well, Mr. Abdul Qader, now Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said that the tourism sector recorded a stunning return during the past year, which is the highest in the history of Egypt, and announced that the sector aims, the tourism sector aims to increase the number of tourists by 28% or 15 million tourists to come to Egypt. How do you see his words, please?
Well, really, inshallah, we'll be, achieving these figures and probably more because of the solid strategy of the Ministry of Tourism Antiquities and the whole Egyptian government, because tourism is one, main of generators of foreign exchange that supports our solid economy. So that's why we expect over 15 million this year, inshallah. We have great expectations because we expect in this current year is going to be the grand opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum, as well as more international airlines, adding Egypt on the destination. For example, we have, the Sphinx Airport now is in operation, and we have direct flight from Germany, from Spain, that lands, at the airport, which is in the vicinity of the Giza Plateau and the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Yes.
As well as from the Gulf and Saudi Arabia, we have direct flights, from Jeddah and Riyadh to Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada as well.
Yes, also, Mr. Abdul Qader, the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, said in a press conference, adding to his statements concerning the tourism sector, that the state is establishing new airports such as El Alamein and the Sphinx airports, and also added that the state is developing currently the Luxor and the Cairo airports. The importance of the new airports and the importance of developing the Luxor and the Cairo airports to cope with the international standards.
Well, really, this is very strategic and very vital because over 95% of arrivals to Egypt, when we receive 13, 14 million visitors, they, visit Egypt and land in Egypt via air, airlines. So that's why a strategic, network of international airports covering all of Egypt, all over Egypt, from Sinai to Taba, to Siwa, to New Valley, all over these destinations. We need a solid network of airports and airlines because this is the major, lifeline for Egyptian tourism and travel year-round.
Yes. Also, the Prime Minister called on the private sector to participate on doubling the capacity of the hotel rooms to accommodate 30 million tourists, adding that the current capacity of hotel rooms is 230,000 rooms. The role of the private sector in your point of view, please.
Well, really, the hospitality business strategically, is a private investment and enterprises. Governments, add, and support on a minimum scale, worldwide. So that's why we have one of the international hotel chains. They will be opening this year for over 2 years. They're going to be opening 12 hotel properties as well. And then we have more, additions to great hotels, on the Mediterranean and on the Red Sea, the resorts. We open year-round. A week ago, we had German tour operators, over about 70 of them visiting Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, to be more familiar with the facilities and attractions of Egyptian destinations. So we need more airports and we need more hotel rooms to accommodate 30 million visitors. We need at least, 500,000 rooms, year-round. So going through this direction.
Yes, Mr. Abdul Qader, the attempts by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities launching initiatives and raising campaigns and making websites and pages with 7 languages in order to get people and tourists around the world to know more about Egypt. The importance of these initiatives and campaigns and the pages that the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities have launched.
Well, this is vital, like for the dynamic, international travel flows to Egypt, both regionally and internationally. And remember, we have great events, like taking place in Egypt now. I mean, last week, the Queen of Belgium, she visited, the Baronian Palace to commemorate the trip of her grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, that visited Egypt a century ago. And this is, world media is reporting this, and this is a great attraction. At the same time, in San Francisco, we have an exhibition for Egyptian antiquities. It's called Golden Pharaohs. So all these events, are online and displayed and publicized worldwide through the Egyptian Tourism Authority, worldwide. And remember, shortly we had the ITB. Travel exhibition in Berlin, and there was, a great Egyptian delegation. And we had a great pavilion as well, that won, a world award. And then shortly in May, we're going to have the ATM, the Arab Travel Market. So really the Ministry of Tourism covering, the travel shows worldwide and promoting Egypt digitally as well, which is a great attraction and draw of visitors as well.
Yes, also Mr. Abdul Qader, recently the Time magazine have put in on its front page the picture of the pyramids of Giza, and wrote under it saying the greatest places in the whole world. So how do you see the importance of this?
Well, really, we thank the Time magazine, which is having a global audience worldwide, that on its cover page, front page, it had the great Giza pyramids, Cheops, Khafre, and Mykiranus, and they are listing the top destinations worldwide that visitors go to visit this year and throughout all times, and it came number 1. Same thing happens, with TripAdvisor, with National Geographic, with CNN, travel magazines. So the whole world is recognizing now the authenticity, an attraction and originality of Egyptian antiquities. And because, look, the Renaissance we're having currently, we, inshallah, this year we'll open the Grand Egyptian Museum. 2 years ahead of that, we opened the Fustat Civilization Museum, and we have other museums in Garan, Sharm el-Sheikh, all over Egypt. So this is creating, a momentum. For example, yesterday in Columbus, Ohio, in the U.S., there was a great opening for a museum and exhibit called Tutankhamun, his tomb and his treasures. And this exhibit will go for 6 months until next September, and they are displaying 1,000 artifacts of the collection of King Tut, and of course this is a replica. And the whole show is sold out, Imagine, audiences are going to a replica, of our attraction. Imagine if they come to Egypt and visit the original artifacts in the Great Egyptian Museum.
Yes, Mr. Abdul Qader, what are the programs that are set for the tourists from the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities in the spring time? What are your expectations and the programs that are provided by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities for the tourists coming to Egypt?
Well, really, inshallah, this week and Thursday we'll be celebrating the advent of Ramadan. And this is one of the nicest months of the year for visitors because they come to Egypt and they can, traffic is more, controllable, so they can visit many places. and enjoy, and then after iftar they can celebrate, at the, Fatimiyat Cairo, and Khedive Cairo, going to Hussein and Sayyidah Zainab and all these attractions, and Khan Khalili. So we expect a good, turnout of visitors, both from, international and from the Arab Gulf as well. And then after that, we are going to be ready for the Easter, festivals, and tours, because many groups like to visit Egypt, from Germany, from France, from Spain, to come to visit Egypt and the U.S. as well throughout the Easter season and its celebration.
Yes, what are the kinds of the places that the tourists prefer to visit? You've just mentioned that we are about to start the holy month of Ramadan. What are the nationalities that prefer to spend the holy month of Ramadan here in Egypt? Do you think it's Arab nationalities more than foreign nationalities?
Well, really, it could be, equilibrium, between both, because many, world travelers, they like to come to Egypt when it is, less, dense and less crowded. So Ramadan, like the 4 weeks and 30 days of Ramadan, offer this opportunity. So they plan, year-round that they come and visit throughout this time, because, logistics, transportation, museums, they are going to be less accessible, because, most of our population, because of fasting, they are not going to visit. But so they like to do this, and as well, our friends and brothers from the Gulf, from the Arab world, they like to come and spend like 2 weeks or 10 days fasting Ramadan in Egypt, because many of them, they've been visiting and they have families and friends and students. So they love, the atmosphere and ambience we create in Egypt.
Yes,
for Ramadan celebration.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Mr. Yehia Abdul Qader, Tourism Counselor. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. And with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Breakfast Show. I was in the company of my colleague, Nermeen Abdurrahman. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.